So picture this. It's midnight on a Tuesday and my phone buzzes with a text from my client, Jessica. And I'm reading this message that just says, there's no way I can have a real wedding for $5,000. Everyone keeps telling me I need at least $15,000 minimum, and I'm starting to think we should just elope to Vegas. I remember staring at that text and thinking, oh, honey, you have no idea what's possible. Because 6 months later, and I have the photos to prove this, 80 guests watched Jessica say I do in the most absolutely gorgeous backyard ceremony I have ever seen. We're talking live acoustic music that had people swaying, a gourmet taco bar that had guests going back for thirds, and centerpieces that looked like they were straight out of Martha Stewart weddings. I'm not kidding. The total cost? $4,847. Not $4,847 plus hidden fees, not $4,847 if you already own half of the stuff. $4,847 for everything. The dress, the food, the flowers, the music, photography, everything. And today, I'm not just telling you it's possible, I'm showing you exactly how Jessica did it with a complete breakdown that you can literally copy and paste for your own wedding. Do it, take it. We're talking vendor names, exact costs, timeline strategies, and 3 negotiation techniques that saved her over $2,000. But first, if you don't know who I am, my name is Marie Hansen. I'm a budget wedding planner who helps you have the wedding of your dreams for a price you can actually afford. I've been planning weddings for over 6 years. I've planned $200,000 weddings and $3,000 weddings. And I can tell you right now, some of my most beautiful, memorable weddings have been the budget ones because every single dollar goes toward what actually matters. Now, before I dive into that complete budget breakdown, and trust me, I have some free venue ideas that are absolutely going to blow your mind, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell because next week I'm sharing the actual vendor email templates that have saved my couples literally thousands of dollars in negotiations. These are the exact scripts I give my high-end clients and you're getting them for free. Okay, so here's where Jessica started. This is where you need to start too. She and her fiance sat down and made a list of their absolute non-negotiables. Not their wish list, not their if money were no object list. This is what will make our wedding feel like our wedding list. Here's what they decided mattered most. Amazing food that guests would actually remember and talk about afterwards. Professional photos of their families together because this was the first time that both sides would be in one place. A ceremony that felt sacred and personal, not rushed or generic, and dancing under string lights because that's where they had their first dance as a couple. Everything else completely negotiable. The linens, flowers, favors, fancy invitations, all of it was on the chopping block if it meant they could afford those 4 things. And here's what's crucial. They didn't just say good food. They got specific. Jessica said, I want people to be surprised by how good the food is, and I want them to feel full and happy. That specifically is what led us to the taco truck solution instead of trying to DIY a buffet that would have been twice as much work and half as good. Your homework right now, and I'm serious about this, pause this video or podcast, however you're listening, and write down your top 3 to 4 non-negotiables before you spend a single dollar. Not what Pinterest tells you matters, not what your mom thinks is important, but what would make your wedding feel complete and authentic to your relationship. Because here's what I see happen all the time. Couples spend $800 on centerpieces they barely notice, but they skimp on photography and regret it for the rest of their lives. Or they blow their budget on a fancy venue but serve mediocre food, and that's what guests remember. Your non-negotiables become your budget priorities, and everything else fills in around them. This one exercise will save you from overspending on stuff that doesn't matter to you and underspending on stuff that does. All right, let's get into numbers. Her aunt's backyard was $0 for the venue. Now, before you say, well, my aunt doesn't have a backyard, hang tight because I'm about to give you 5 other completely free venue options that most people never think of. Food, $1,200. Local taco truck for 80 people. This included setup, cleanup, serving utensils, napkins, and they brought their own tables for the food. Compare that to catering, which would have been $35 to $50 per person minimum, plus service fees, plus gratuity and tax. The taco truck was $15 per person, all in. Saved so much money. Photography, $800 from a talented photography student building her portfolio. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what if they mess up my photos? Here's the thing, Jessica didn't just find any student. She found someone in their final year who had already shot 10 plus weddings as a second shooter, had an amazing portfolio, and was looking to build her solo practice. She met with her twice, saw her work, and she was incredible. The dress, $180. Sample sale find, originally $1,400. Jessica stalked her local bride shop's Instagram accounts and showed up to a sample sale at 9 a.m. The dress needed minor alterations, which cost another $80, but we're still talking about only $260 total for a designer gown. Flowers were $150. Grocery store blooms and thrifted vases. Here's a secret. Jessica bought flowers from 3 different grocery stores the day before the wedding, arranged them in vintage vases she'd collected from thrift stores over 2 months, and the total look was abundant and lush because she used the same flowers everywhere. Just white flowers and greenery. That's it. Decor, $200. DIY signs, string lights, and borrowed linens. The string lights were $60 from Amazon and created the most magical ambiance. She made a wooden welcome sign using Cricut templates, borrowed white tablecloths from her church, and used battery-operated candles for safety and cost. Music was $300 with a friend's DJ, cousin, and a family discount. This guy had been DJing for 5 years, had all professional equipment, and gave them a family rate because he was just starting to do weddings. But he was phenomenal. Rings were $400. Vintage finds from a local jeweler. Instead of going to a big box store, they found a local jeweler who specialized in vintage pieces. Got both rings for less than what one new ring would have cost. Invitations, $50. Canva templates printed at FedEx. Beautiful, professional-looking invitations that she designed herself using Canva templates, printed on cardstock at FedEx office. Simple, cheap, easy. Miscellaneous was $267. So the marriage license was $75, a makeup trial was $40, and then forgotten items and emergency purchases added up to $152. Okay, now for those free venue options I promised. Number 1 is public parks with pavilions. Usually these are $50 to $200 reservation fee max. Second is community centers. These are often $100 to $300 for the whole day. And if you're in a town that doesn't have community centers, check out a local VFW or something similar. Third would be church fellowship halls. Even if you're not a member, many still rent them out. Fourth, university event spaces. If you or someone you know is an alum, although some universities still rent out their spaces to non-alums. And 5, private restaurant rooms in exchange for a guaranteed food minimum. This one usually only works if you have a smaller group because a lot of restaurants have a capacity limit, but you'll get the room for free. Okay, now let's talk about the strategies that made this all possible because it's not just about spending less, it's about spending smarter. Strategy number 1, be strategic about timing. Jessica chose a Friday in October instead of a Saturday in peak season. That single decision saved her $400 on the taco truck alone because they gave her their weekday rate. It also meant the photographer had more availability and was willing to work within her budget. Friday weddings are having a moment right now. They're actually kind of popular. Your friends will take the day off for your wedding, and vendors love Friday bookings because it extends their weekend income without the Saturday premium. Strategy number 2, bundle services strategically. So Jessica's photographer had a friend who was trying to break into videography. Instead of hiring them separately, she negotiated a package deal. $800 for photography plus $200 for basic videography. That $200 got her ceremony footage and reception highlights that would have cost more than $800 from a dedicated videographer. Strategy 3, borrow everything you can. But here's the key. Be specific about what you're borrowing and from whom. Jessica borrowed her sister's veil, which saved about $150. She borrowed her mom's pearl jewelry, saving about $200, and her neighbor's white tablecloths, saving about $120. She made a spreadsheet of what she was borrowing and from whom, and when she needed to return it. Strategy number 4, ask for help, but be strategic about it. Instead of saying, "Can you help with my wedding?" which puts people on the spot and is way too vague, Jessica got specific. She asked her cousin, who's an amazing baker, "Would you be willing to make our wedding cake as your wedding gift to us? We're thinking something simple but beautiful, probably 2 layers." That approach works great because it's specific, it positions it as a gift so they don't feel taken advantage of, and gives them an out if they can't do it. Let me tell you about another one of our clients, Maria, who used this same approach. She saved $600 just by asking her florist friend to arrange grocery store flowers instead of buying expensive arrangements from a flower shop. Her friend loved getting to be creative without the pressure of sourcing expensive flowers, and Maria got professional-looking arrangements for the cost of grocery store blooms. Strategy number 5, focus on experience over aesthetics. Here's what I've learned from planning over 200 weddings. People remember how they felt at your wedding more than how it looked. Jessica's wedding felt abundant because there was great food, good music, comfortable seating. It felt personal because she incorporated family traditions and inside jokes. It felt joyful because she wasn't stressed about money. The most expensive weddings I've planned aren't necessarily the most memorable ones. The most memorable ones are the ones where every detail feels intentional and authentic to the couple. Now let's be real about what this kind of wedding requires, because I don't want to sugarcoat this. Time investment. Jessica spent about 10 hours a week for 4 months planning. That's significant, but it also is what made the budget work. She DIY'd things, did research on her vendors, and coordinated all the details because she treated wedding planning as a part-time job. Second is flexibility. She had to be flexible on dates, vendor availability, and some basic aesthetic choices. Her first choice photographer wasn't available. Her preferred date was booked at 2 venues, and she had to adjust her color scheme based on what flowers were in season and affordable. Third, a support system. This was not a one-person job. Her sister helped with DIY projects. Her mom handled vendor calls during work hours. Her fiancé took on the music and bar responsibilities. Fourth, she had a lower guest count. 80 people instead of 150 made everything more affordable. They were ruthless about the guest list, inviting only people they'd spoken to in the past year and very close friends and family. But here's what she gained: 0 wedding debt, a celebration that felt completely authentic to them, and the ability to buy a house within 6 months after the wedding because they hadn't blown all their savings. Look, I've planned over 200 weddings, and I can tell you that some of the $5,000 weddings are more memorable than the $50,000 ones. Jessica's wedding had people talking for months, not because of the fancy centerpieces or designer linens, but because you could feel how much love and intention went into every single detail. When every dollar matters, you make sure every dollar counts, and that creates something really special. If you want this kind of support in your own wedding, I walk you through this entire process inside Better Budget Weddings. We're talking step-by-step planning guides, budget spreadsheets, a vendor discount directory with pre-negotiated rates. Yes, I pre-negotiated rates for you. Contract templates that help protect you, monthly group calls where I can review your specific situation and help you problem solve in real time, and so much more. You don't have to figure this out alone, and you definitely don't have to choose between the wedding you want and your financial future. The link to join is in the description below, and I genuinely cannot wait to help you create a day that's unforgettable for all the right reasons. And if this video helped you, please share it with someone else you know who's getting married. Next week, I'm sharing why Pinterest is lying to you about wedding costs and what to do instead. Trust me, this one is going to save you from some expensive mistakes. So I'll see you next week.